Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races, and today we're going to have a look at part 3 of my horses to follow for the season. You'll notice this time there's only going to be 3. The fourth one you'll be able to hear on the Turf Talk podcast that they're doing for the National Hunt season, a preview, and I've submitted one to them. Last season we had the Boss's Oscar, and I talked about him for the Pertemps final. He was 25 to 1 at the time. Bit of a bittersweet moment when he finished second. Although he finished second, we did have the winner in Mrs. Milner at 33 to 1. So that was good, but it would have been nice to have a whole season target come to fruition. So the 3 that I am going to talk about, the first one we'll start with is Kitty's Light. I thought what Kitty's Light achieved as a 5-year-old last season, as a 4-year-old stroke 5-year-old last season was amazing. You normally think of 4-year-olds potentially running in Triumph hurdles or handicap hurdles, maybe going chasing, but only over 2.5 mile. Kitty's Light ended the season running at Sandown in the 3.5 mile Bet365 Gold Cup. And had Enrilo not carried Kitty's Light out, I think Kitty's Light would have actually won that. Kitty's Light ended up finishing the race in third, but got promoted to second in a race that, the stewards, they did the right thing. They did the only thing they could do, but the horse who should have won the race or would have won the race didn't still win the race, even though the horse who did the interference got disqualified. But anyway, I think there's still more to come from Kitty's Light. If you go back and watch that race, watch how far Kitty's Light gets behind, and it's only in the last. It's not even the last mile. It's less than that. Last 6 furlongs that Kitty's Light really gets going. I think we can see Kitty's Light in. I don't think we'll see him in the Ladbroke Trophy. I don't think that's going to be far enough. I do think he'll be running in the Welsh National. Christian Williams trains. Everything's perfect for Kitty's Light. Distance. The ground might be the only concern. If you have a look on the screen here, most of her, I always say her runs for Kitty's Light. It sounds like a mare, doesn't it? But it's not, it's gelding. You can see most of them are on good to soft, good to firm. These 2 jumpers bumpers, you can ignore those runs. That might be the only thing about against the Welsh National, so maybe it ends up in the Scottish National at the end of the season. 4-mile trip, I think will suit him to a T. But I do think he'll be in these sort of staying handicap chases all season, unless he wins a couple and then ends up running in graded races. I really, really think he's a Grand National horse of the future, but I think he'll win a handicap en route this season, maybe 2. And as you can see here, he does have an entry at Chepstow on Saturday. If he's declared, I would imagine he'll be quite highly rated. He's currently RTR 3. Obviously, that gets readjusted when the final declarations are made. Professional members are able to see these ratings from the 4 and 5 day stage. So they've had the Saturday ratings since Tuesday. Anyway, so let's move on to the second horse I'm going to talk about, and that one's Passadoble. Now, Passadoble is another that is going to run in the Persian War on Friday. I was really taken by Passadoble when it finished third at Kempton, and that was in the Adonis. Now, you've always got to watch the Adonis, especially for Paul Nicholls, as he likes to have horses that can go straight from there into the Triumph. Zarkanda, Solo. I know Solo's been disappointing, but I expect to see a better showing from Solo this season. And it's a race that if Paul runs a horse in the Adonis first time up, particularly French-bred horses, although Passadoble is Irish, they generally run really well. Passadoble finished third behind Casalupi, who's come out and won since, and Tritonic, who was regarded as the best British hope in the Triumph Hurdle. If you watch Passadoble in that run at Kempton, jockey was very careful. Actually got a few lengths behind, looked like he was going to run no sort of race, but has quietly ran on into third. And it was no surprise to see him win next time out back at Kempton in a novice hurdle, so against older horses still. And I was very impressed with him. Paul obviously holds him in pretty high regard, running him in the Persian War. We know Paul has a really good record at Chepstow and in the Persian War. He won last year with McFabulous. And I think Passadoble is going to be an above average 5-year-old this year. I really do think he's good. And I think he will go on. And the danger with 4-stroke 5-year-olds is they end up running in graded races and they don't quite cut it. Look at Goshen, for example, or Goshen. The fact he's running him in a grade 2 straight off, I'm hoping he's a bit better than, not necessarily better than Goshen, but able to cope with the older horses at an earlier stage in his career. Having the flat form and the flat experience might help him there. So Passadoble is a horse that I'm adding to my horses to follow, and I think he's going to be well above average. The final horse I want to talk about for these horses to follow is a horse called If the Cap Fits. If the Cap Fits, for me, could win the Ladbroke Trophy off a mark of 150 if they go back over fences and if they drop him into handicap company. When he went over fences, look at his form. First, second, third, second. He tried running in grade 1 at Kempton. He tried then step him up to 3.5 mile at Taunton, where he was beat by Yala Enki. There's nothing wrong with that form. He was outstayed by a Welsh, Scottish, Grand National type of horse. So I was very surprised to then see him dropped back to hurdles. Whether they wanted to give him another season, just a bit more experience over fences before taking on a handicap, possibly. But I think at his age and his career stage, I would have done it last season and turned up at Cheltenham. But they didn't. They dropped him back to hurdles where they ran in the Stayers hurdle. He finished 9th. They then ran him in the Stayers hurdle at Aintree. He finished 11th. He's not good enough for grade 1 hurdles. That's a given. That's can't be disputed now. Go back over fences, drop into a handicap of a mark of 150, and I think he's very, very interesting. It's whether Simon Munir and Isaac Swade want to do that. I think they like targeting graded races and not as keen in the handicaps. But if he does run in a handicap, he's definitely one that I'll be probably backing, depending on the race. Obviously, if he turns up in a 2-mile handicap, I probably wouldn't. But if he turns up in the Ladbroke Trophy in November, end of November, he's definitely one that I'm pretty keen on. So they're my final 3 for the horses to follow. As I said, the 4th one will be announced on the Turf Talk podcast. Keep an eye out for that, or an ear out for that. When they do record the podcast itself, I will retweet it, obviously, so you will be able to see it. As I said, these are for premium and pro members first. If you're listening to this and you're a free member, it'll be on Friday or Saturday when I've released it. Probably Friday, obviously Friday before Passadoble runs. And hopefully we can have a few winners. I did some analysis of these horses that I've given you, and last season they had 5 wins from 62 races. So I've not gone for the obvious horses. I've not gone for the Shishkins, the Appreciator, Bob Ollinger, Sir Gerhard Kelcruet, etc. I've gone for horses that didn't run very well or weren't great last season. 5 wins from 62. I think there was a novice hurdle, a maiden hurdle, a beginner's chase, and 2 handicaps. Kitty's Light won 2 handicaps, but if you take Kitty's Light out, there was just a maiden, a beginner, and a novice events in there. So hopefully these can go on and win some nice handicaps. Of all of them that I've talked about, I think they're all pretty much going to be aiming at handicaps, possibly Passadoble into graded company. Obviously, he runs in the Persian War, and if he wins that, he'll stay in graded company for a while. But don't be too disheartened if they don't win first time out. This is one other thing that I'm always keen to explain. Sometimes I pick a horse, and I think it's got a really good chance in a race, and it finishes 5th. But I'm convinced about it. The next time it runs, it goes off 9-1 and it finishes 7th. But it's still No, I don't want to give up on it. The third time it runs, it wins. It only has to be 4-1, no, 3-1 or bigger to make your money back on those 3 bets. If you're doing level stakes, if it's finished disappointingly down the field and it's like 16-1, you make a 14-point profit on 3 runs. Quite a lot of people, they get into this habit of backing a horse, it loses, they give up on it. But if you're confident of a horse and you're confident in your own ability and being able to spot these horses, stick with them for a few runs. Sometimes it could even be 4 or 5 runs before they get going and before they really show what you thought you saw, and they win at 33-1. 33-1 after having four losing bets on the horse. I'd take that any day of the week. But anyway, that's a little bit of advice I can give you about how I target some of these horses. Hopefully we can have a few winners over the season, or quite a few winners over the season. And if any turn up at Cheltenham, it would be great if we could have a Cheltenham winner from one of our horses to follow, or more. So thanks for listening. As always, any feedback, do let me know. Any thoughts, suggestions, again, let me know. And also let me know what you think about having my picture in the bottom left-hand corner. Does that make it easier and me a bit more friendly and easy, more approachable? Or does that just completely put you off and think, who the hell is that in the corner? Please turn off your webcam. Let me know. Thank you.